Okay, stand by. All right, Kia, we're good.
We're having technical difficulties. We're going to wait for Ms. Richards to return, and then we will start the meeting. Okay, Mr. Latham?
All right, good evening, everyone. Looks like we've got everyone here, and appreciate everybody bearing with us as we experience some technical difficulties. I just want to start by saying that I'm really glad to see Mr. Perry has joined Mr. McKinney and I in the bearded quarantine category. It looks very nice on you, Mr. Perry.
Thank you, thank you.
Very good look. This meeting will be conducted entirely by video conferencing. The public may view and listen to this meeting at the following live stream URL: www.metrotech.edu/mtc-live. Those present at remote locations via video conferencing are Matt Latham, Sarah McKinney, Elizabeth Richards, Ron Perry, Linda Ware-Toure, Miriam Campos, Jimmy McKinney, Bob Parrish, Joanne Johnson, and numerous staff, as we can see on here as well. If for some reason the video feed is interrupted, we will move to a recess at the call of the chair. If for some reason we cannot reestablish connection within 30 minutes, we will adjourn the meeting and call a separate meeting. At that point, Joanne, will you call us to order?
Ms. Sarah McKinney,
Present.
Dr. Toure,
Here.
Ms. Campos,
Present.
Ms. Richards,
Here.
Mr. Latham, Mr. Latham.
Here, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Mr. McKinney
Here.
and Mr. Perry,
Here.
all present.
Okay, we have everybody here. Now we'll move on to superintendent's report. Superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Latham. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to make a few comments before we get into the motions of the meeting. I just wanted to let everyone know that Metro Tech has been busy with the teachers continuing to work through remote learning. I believe that they'll have 3 more days this week with Oklahoma City Public Schools, and then maybe a few days next week with Millwood and possibly Cricket Oak. I would like everyone to know, also the board to know, that we've had several wellness classes that we provided via Zoom, including kickboxing, yoga, stretching, and cooking. Valerie McMurray leads these classes and really helps get the staff ready for the day. You're welcome to join us at any time if you'd like to do those. Valerie's been doing the stretching and cooking on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 7:30, so she gets everyone off to an early start on those mornings. I would like you to also know our Mrs. Janet Portwood, our pre-engineering teacher, and her students are continuing to print ear protectors for frontline workers. They're using our 3D printers, and we've created roughly 2,000 bands and donated them to the National Guard, Integris Hospital, the Healthcare Coalition, U.S. Marshals, and we'll get them out to the legislatures and others as they are finished with those. And also Fox 25 did a great story on that segment the other night. If you missed it, you can catch it on our website and see it on YouTube. Our Economic and Workforce Development Group has also provided multiple webinars for business clients, as well as our transition team providing multiple podcasts on resume building, interviews, and networking 101. Our community outreach continues to set up meetings with key community leaders to brief staff on relevant issue. We've heard from Senator George Young, Representative Pittman, Dr. Sean McDaniel with Oklahoma City Schools and others. And we'll have a session with Representative U.S. Congresswoman Kendra Horn next week. These have been great for our staff to listen into. We've had anywhere from 100 to 200. And every Wednesday, we continue to have a district update that Dr. Bills leads. And we've been getting around every full-time staff member there up to 250 people. We've had our district emergency response team led by Dr. Bills meet each day on our continuity plan and put processes in place to close out the year and start a new year. We have the transition plan has started. We have some employees that have started back, some of our essential employees, and their team has put together, along with Mary Craft, a very detailed way that we're going to come back that's structured and putting in places also what we expect for everybody out of check-in and health every day, so that hopefully we'll cover everything where nobody will be in contact with the disease at this time. One thing that also that we heard from Dr. McDaniel the other day, and then I heard a little bit of a confliction today from the governor, but they're going to start school, plan to start in August, the same way we are. They're ready to go live. They're also ready to go back to remote learning, or hopefully a blend of both of those. And they will start on the, I believe it's August 8th starting date. Dr. McDaniel did say that a fourth option that they may have is to start after Labor Day. So we'll need to look at that option for all three of our schools as well. When our teachers come back, we'll have a plan in place. I'd like to thank Dr. Bills and Randa Perong for the work they've done in making those things happen. We've been notified our instructional excellence program was selected to present at ACTE next year. And you know, that usually happens in December, the first week of December. Also, our law enforcement student, Evelyn Morales, was selected to open the National Skills USA Conference with the singing of the national anthem. And that will be broadcasted nationally. So we're super proud of those groups. I am sad to say, since the last time we met, we've lost an employee, Ms. Sheila Hawkins, who passed on April 14th after kind of a short battle with cancer. And she was our project search coordinator, helping with the placement of hundreds of special needs students over the years. So she'll be greatly missed at Metro Tech, and really keep Sheila and her family in your prayers at this time. One other couple of more things I'd like to go over is we've been staying in contact with Dr. Marcy Mack and Scott McNeil, the executive director. They've been meeting it 2 or 3 times a week with all the staff, the superintendents and assistant superintendents that want to meet with them. And we've been getting correspondence. We started out with a 2.5%. Expect to have a 2.5% budget cut. She also sent us some projections on a 7, a 7.5, and a 10%. But yesterday, the Senate and the House of Representatives agreed on a budget. It's a tentative budget right now. It hasn't. I don't believe that the governor has been involved, but Career Tech's going to take about a 4.3% cut, and then they're expecting the lottery monies to go up a little bit. But my experience from the past is these cuts will be somewhere in the 400,000s to start with for Metro Technology Centers. We're taking the second largest cut of all the career techs, even though our budget is like the 8th largest in the general fund. In the past, years ago, we were like second to Tulsa Tech in our budget, and that's fallen to 8th over the years, just due to our growth not being landlocked like it is. But we will handle that reduction. The state is also planning to take a very large cut themselves, up around $1 million, 900,000 to $1 million. But as you know, revenue failures have happened in the past, and I think that we need to be prepared this year for that to happen throughout the year with the oil and gas and the economy in the situation it's in. So the June 2nd meeting, Mr. Genhart will have a budget, and we will take that into effect to be sure that we have money in contingency that we'll work off of this year. We've also been told to probably our ad valorem will be affected as people are in foreclosure. And this next year, you know, there'll be a lot of people that will protest their taxes. That doesn't mean they won't pay their taxes. It just means they'll be delayed. So we need to look for those things next year and be prepared. And I'll be sure that I stay in contact and we prepare everyone the best we can for those situations like that. One thing that, another thing Dr. McDaniel said that I want to make each of you aware of is Oklahoma City Schools is going to have a virtual graduation at Capitol Hill, May 14th, 15th, and 16th. And they're going to have the different high schools come in, their student councils. You know, they'll have to practice social distancing, but they're going to have those taped and they'll be sent out live like they do their board meetings. But that is May 14th, 15th, and 16th, if you want to see someone go through the virtual graduation. I'd like to really say one more thing on the agenda that you may have noticed is this year, I've been meaning to do this for the last 3 years, but under the consent docket, the things that happen on an annual basis that don't have to do with a contract, that are just encumbrances that we do, such as the utilities company. There's some Xerox contracts on here. They're really our choice in media to use them. So things that we might consider sole source, such as our waste management, also I put on the consent docket because I really think that those are some of the things that you really don't have a choice, but to pay those, we'll have a lot more of those in June and July as the utilities come in and some of those things, but we will not put contracts in there. Anything that has to do with a contract will stay under general business and purchasing items, anything that's quoted. And I just wanted to make you aware of that because we may not have made that clear when we were sending it out. So if any of you have a question, I'd be glad to answer anything. If not, let's go right into the treasurer's report. And again, this month, Mr. Genhart is going to present that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions on that also. Matt Genhart, if you're there.
I'm here. Can you guys see me and hear me okay?
You can.
Yes, I can. Mhm.
Well, I'm sorry you have to see me, but at least hear me. Looking at our numbers through March, we're still looking to be on track. We're actually better than where I had originally estimated due to our expenditures kind of waning with not being at the office. So we're still looking at a possible $4.4 million fund balance in the general fund and a 6.3 in the building fund. That's over a $2 million increase from our beginning fund balance in the general fund and a $1.3 million increase in our building fund on our ending fund balance. What I really wanted to point out to you guys is our investments page, which is on page 4, just to let y'all know that whenever I did our budget and I listed our investment revenue, I did it for the investments we had already made. So anything we make above that, I wanted you guys to relax on the fact that interest rates have dropped so much. We've already budgeted for what we already had in the bank. So anything above else is additional. So I don't have to worry about adjusting that. You can see the most recent CD we got was at 0.4%. That we gave up a 2.1% investment for a 4.4% investment. So, and then our most recent one in April went from 2.05 and 1.77 to 0.5. So that's what you can see is happening in the market with our investments. So that number for next year may be quite a bit lower as we budget that. So that's another thing we have to consider when we consider cuts as well to our state funding. But we're still looking pretty good. If you guys have any questions, I'll be glad. Oh, I wanted to update you guys on one other thing. Our COVID related expenditures. I wanted to give you a number on that. Right now, we've got about $76,000 encumbered or paid related that we've identified as related to COVID expenditures. As you guys may or may not be aware, the U.S. Department of Education is up the allocation of $500,000 per tech center or higher ed school. So we will be getting $500,000 that will go towards that CARES Act funding. And our financial aid department has already started, and we've got the list ready. I'm just waiting for the funds to come into the bank. So they're waiting. The direct deposit form has been sent in to give them our bank information, and then they'll start sending us money, and we can start paying these students what they deserve. Does anybody have any further questions?
I do not.
Would also note that just real quickly that those will be on the June board meetings as ratifications. I've had to go ahead and sign those and get them in, but we do have the amounts down now. We will have the contracts with the Department of Education in the backup, and you will see that we will receive that money for the rest of this year and for next year. I'm sorry, did one of you have a question? We'll
No,
see. Yes, ma'am. Okay. You can see we went ahead and planned to have virtual board meetings in June and 2nd and June 30th, the same way we've done this. I mean, we can change that if there's a way, but when we're having, when you can't have more, they're public meetings, and we're not supposed to have more than 10 gathered at a place at a time. So we just can't see any way that we could have a board meeting with guests invited, especially our own staff that are ready to answer questions. Are there any board member reports at this time?
I'm here.
No, and I'm good with the virtual meetings too.
Yeah, that they kind of spoiled us a little bit, haven't they? Not having to get out, and especially if it was the weather was not great outside. Any other reports?
I just wanted to.
I do not.
No. I'll jump
We'll
in here.
see
say-
none. President Latham?
Yeah.
Meeting
Thank you.
back to you.
Thanks, Bob. And I'll just say before we move on from board member reports that great job to Stephanie and the team getting those 3D printed mask holders out. I thought that was great publicity, and I know that wasn't easy with the campus closed and all of those things. There were some technical and logistical issues there, but I think it was a great opportunity. I can't tell you how many people I've had mention to me that they saw the news story and how fantastic that was, and love seeing that kind of partnership. So I really commend the staff for that. And then along with Miriam, I think, I also want to commend the staff for making these virtual meetings happen. This is not exactly something that we're all accustomed to, but I think we've done a great job of making the most of it. And so great work for the whole team really there. And a lot of the folks behind the scenes, Keo and Alan and the others who are making this all run as smoothly as we allow for it to move. So at that point, we'll move on to item number 4, the consent docket. Do we have a motion?
This is Miriam. I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. McKinney? Ms. McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Teray?
Yes.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
And Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
And motion carries. Move on to item number 5, general business.
Mr. President, I move we vote approval of item 5, general business.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and then a second. Do we have any discussion on general business? Seeing no discussion, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Yes.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Okay. Moving on to item number 6, personnel.
Mr. President, I move approval. This is Linda Teray.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, will you call the roll, please, Joanne?
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Through item number 6. Item 7, encumbrances and purchases.
Mr. President, I move approval of item 7.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? I'll chime in here, and I just want to say that, when we passed an $80 million bond, we were breaking ground in a lot of places that we had never broken ground as a board, both literally and figuratively. And so we were having to learn a lot of things. And I just want to really take a second to commend Bob and Stephanie and Joe Meyer on the job that they've done here. We're really able to professionalize a lot of this stuff in a way that I'm coming away extremely pleased with, and puts us as a board in good legal footing. It's saved us a lot of money. I had a brief discussion with them last week, and we're talking to the tune of several $1 million by the time this thing's all said and done, because of the way we've been able to structure this that makes sense to the district. And so I really just want to say thanks to that team. I also want to say thanks to our partners, Renaissance Architects, Smith and Pickle, Grubbs Consulting. The ones that you're seeing these encumbrances to have been working hard to help us realize those cost savings, and they've been working with our team. And so overall, I couldn't be happier with the direction we're headed in, and I'm excited that we've got all our I's dotted and our T's crossed as we go into these projects. So thanks to everyone, and I definitely think we're headed in the right direction.
I agree.
Any other discussion on item number 7?
I would just add, Mr. President, I agree that the staff really worked diligently to address the questions and concerns that I had at a meeting. And after visiting with staff, I am looking forward to moving ahead with our bond issue projects. I'm looking forward to it. So thanks to everyone who contributed to making it happen.
I agree.
Any other comments on item number 7?
I would just add that along the way, we have a lot of the encumbrances done for architect and the consulting services, but you'll see as the projects one by one come in, they'll be bid, and we'll have a guaranteed maximum price from Smith and Pickle for each one of those. So you'll see each one of those projects come back one at a time to be approved. So you'll know exactly how much we're spending on each of those.
And to that regard, I think that'll be nice for us too, just in terms of gauging progress and timing and all of that kind of stuff. To have a touch point, a good reminder for us at the board to make sure that when we see those, that we're asking questions and making sure that we got our head fully around that. But again, couldn't be happier with the way we've got it set up. And I know Joe Meyer and Stephanie and Bills in particular put a lot of time in there.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Seeing no other discussion, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All
Item number 7 carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to adjourn. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Dr. Teray,
Yes.
Dr. Teray,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney, Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, and hope everybody stays healthy. And we'll look forward to seeing you here in June.
Thank
Thank
you.